thank you for making to another episode of It's My Money with Patrina Dixon. And if you're listening to the Money Exchange podcast, thank you for being here again. If you haven't already, if you are on YouTube, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. And wherever you are, make sure that you're following it as well. So here again with Patrina Dixon, the It's My Money lady. As you know, I'm a personal finance coach and an international best-selling author. I talk about all things money and entrepreneurship under my brand, It's My Money, which is my trademark brand. I'm so excited to have a friend in the personal finance space in Dakota. What's up, Dakota?
Patrina, how are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm so excited to have learned so much about you and to have my listeners find out what you're doing and what's all going on. So let's start with, who is Dakota? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for the invitation to come and join you on your show. I am Dakota Grady from Greenville, South Carolina. And it's not North Dakota or South Dakota, it's Dakota. So let's get that. And my mom and dad have 7 children. And you may have heard of the Brady Bunch, right? Well, my last name is Grady, so you put the two together, the Grady Bunch. And if you don't know who the Brady Bunch is, Google them and you'll see why. But we grew up struggling on welfare, which is government assistance. My mom and dad had food stamps, and I love to eat. But back in the day, I felt so ashamed getting the welfare. And there was a time my mom and dad took my sister, my brothers, and me over my grandmother's house because our power got disconnected. Maybe you've been there before, maybe you haven't, but those times were memorable for me to help people with their finances. So that's why I got in space to help people who've been through things that I've been through so they don't have to repeat those same struggles.
I love it. So Dakota, like it's so interesting to me because as you and I know, having been to the places that you've talked about, and now on the other side, it's like transformational when that happens, right? When you learn the skills, the tips, the strategies. So talk to me about when you are out, or talking with your clients, what are the myths that you try to debunk with them relative to personal finance?
Ooh, good question. So people believe that there is a tool. Well, there's a thief. I tell you why, because people would think that they can borrow money and think it's free and OPM, other people's money. Well, that money ain't your money, it's their money. So you need to use your money, I call it YM, to fund things such as a business. And if you can, pay cash for a house. Ooh, let me say it again. If you can, pay cash for a house. I use an example. The game of, all right, I'm not getting paid for this, but the game of Monopoly, right? Have you played it before?
Yes.
Think about it. When you bought things, you paid cash for getting out of jail, of course. You paid cash for houses, utilities, railroads. And like, that's a perfect example of how you can live debt-free, the game. Yes. So why not translate that game to real life? And if you can't buy a house with cash, I recommend getting a 15-year mortgage, because why be in debt 30 years? You pay more in interest, OPM that is, than you would if you get a 15-year mortgage. So that's the only debt I believe in. So people have a myth that they can use debt as a tool, and I think it's a thief.
That's very interesting. So you went to buying a house with a 15-year loan, right? Which is, I like that as well. But people are struggling with, like, people have credit card debt, they have car payments. How do they get around, as being a personal finance coach, understanding that it's people really are debt-free? Some people, I had a guest on not too long ago, debt-free except for mortgage. People think that that's not possible, right? You're always going to have some sort of debt. What's your response to that you're always going to have some sort of debt? Do you believe that or not?
I had a cousin tell me years ago, a cousin of mine said the same thing. He said, I'm always going to have debt. I said, it's a mentality, brother. Your mindset. Yes. You have to believe to achieve, right? You have to believe.
I love it. You have to believe to achieve. Yes.
So people have to believe that they can become debt free. Like, for example, I use credit card because I used to be an auditor. I traveled around the country auditing collection agencies. People who call you when you don't pay your bills, right? So I did that for 3 years, and I used my credit card. I got reimbursed from my employer, but I heard a guy talk about using cash. I was so afraid because all I knew was debt. Although I pay my credit card off every month, I still use debt. So I said, let me change my mindset and do something different. Because if everybody else is jumping off the bridge, why am I going to do the same thing? Be different. So I stopped using debt, use cash for my travels. I wasn't scared, but I don't even have a credit card to this day. And that was back in 2007. So
wow, that's interesting. Now, see, I'm actually, Dakota, I'm actually the opposite. Like, I do have credit cards. I do everything on the credit card. Everything. I rarely carry cash. And I pay the credit card off. So that's interesting. That's different, a different approach. Now, I'm not opposed to paying for cash for certain things, but having cash on me, like just for me personally, because again, personal finance, for those of you listening or watching, personal finance is personal. You have to do what works best for you. When I carry cash on me, I spend cash frivolously.
Interesting.
Like if I got a $20 or $50, I come home, I don't have it. I'm like, what did I do? I don't have any this place, that place. When I have my credit card, I can go exactly and figure out what I did and if I were to spend that same amount. But I also know that when that comes in, I need to pay that entire amount. So I'm a little bit more mindful about citing my credit card because I know that's going to be a bill that I must pay when it comes in. So, so I guess it all, but I also am a fan of the cash budget envelope system. So that actually helped me with decreased spending on a certain thing that I was spending a lot on, which I called at that time my Achilles heel. So I believe in the psychology of having money and seeing it decrease and not having any more for a certain item. But in general, paying cash for everything, like that's a different approach. That's different.
And I mean, that's honestly, that's the challenge I feel in the financial industry. There's a few of us who believe this because I think, in my opinion, people start marketing to again, borrow money. Again, I used to borrow money too. I'm like, pay it off every month. So I didn't realize that you can pay cash until I really thought about it. So, well, when I play the game on Monopoly, again, I'm not getting paid for this. Hopefully I will be, and I'm not though. When I play the game on Monopoly, they have a bag of cash. You got ones, 5s, 10s, 20s, 100s. I'm like, that's a concept. Why not do it in real life? You can do it if you choose to do it. So for me, I encourage people to pay cash for things, and it may not be for everybody. So, to each his and her own. But for me, I'm doing the debt free, baby. You know what I'm saying? Cash and keeping it real.
I love it. So I know that you teach people, you have personal finance courses. So tell me what's like 3 tips that you want to give folks. So when you said cash and try to use cash for everything, what are 2 other tips that you want to share with the listening audience about, getting their leveling up their personal finances?
Thank you. Great question. So yes, cash is one. Second thing I think people need is a rainy day fund, at least starting out a mini one of $500 to $1,500, because life happens. You have children. Your child's playing on a trampoline, falls off and breaks her arm. Doctor's visit, right? Yep. Or you got a car. Your car stops working. Transmission goes out. What are you gonna do? Pull out the credit card? No, use cash. Mm-hmm. So having that rainy day fund will keep you wet from being drenched, right? Make sense?
Yes.
And the third, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying third tip.
The third tip is I call a money plan. Why? Because if you don't have a plan for your money, you won't have any money. That's simple. It's simply a budget. But people don't like the B word, so I call it a money plan.
Yeah. Yeah, so many people don't. I don't know what it is about that word. I tell people a budget is not restrictive. A budget is actually your friend. I tell them people call it a spending plan, call it whatever you want. Just make sure you do the exercise every time you get paid. So you call it a money plan, right? So how do you get your clients to wrap their head around this is something they must do in order to know what's going on with their money?
I say, what's your why? Recently I met with. What's your why? Because
elaborate.
I have met with a client recently. And when I meet with clients, I give them the tools, but I give them the work to do. I said, you do the budget, I'll coach you. I'm going to be your instructor. You do the work, because when I leave, the next month you do your budget, I'm not going to be around. You do your budget. So I tell people to do a budget, and I ask them, what's your why? My client said she wanted to have a renovation for a home, but she didn't want to do budget. I'm like, well, for example, what's your why? If you want to get that car, vacation, whatever that why is for your client or you, the budget or the money plan is the foundation. Mm-hmm. Off air, Patrina, we talked about the house, right? Mm-hmm. People want to do, like I said, crypto, investing, other things that don't pertain to the foundation. They want to build a house, but they don't have the foundation. So when they get the crypto or the investing and the house, the car that fall down, it's going to all crumble, right? Because they don't have the foundation.
That's right. Exactly. So, okay, that's good. And do you find that what is one thing that your clients that you work with in the personal finance space, one thing that they like are hesitant in doing? Is it the budgeting, or is it other for something else?
Honestly, I think it's the budget, because it's work.
Yeah. But I say to my clients, aren't you worth it? Aren't you worth the work? And I also tell them, you know, sometimes clients come to me and it's, you know, maybe they're my age or maybe a little bit younger. If it took you, you know, 20 plus years to get in this position, it's not going to take you 20 minutes to get out of the position, right? Right. So, you know, what I find is people want expediency, they want immediacy, you know, and it just does not happen that way. And I tell them, if they stay the course and be consistent with the process and the strategies, that there is another side. And it's just a matter of, you know, I love, and I know sometimes I say this and I'm on social, but I feel like sometimes social media gets people to think that things are like quick and that everybody out here is just, you know, killing it and doing all these great things, which they are. People are doing great things, but oftentimes, because some people do, they do not show the behind the scenes, what it takes to make six figures, right? There's expenses that go along with the income. And I think sometimes people get overshadowed by what the gross is as opposed to what the net may be, because the expenses aren't shared as frequently as the income is. So that's what I'm finding. So I know that you have created a course. Talk a little bit about your course that I think you said 8 weeks long.
Yes, thank you. So my course coming out in September of this year is Your Money Academy, basically a 7-week course, and talking about those things, budgeting, debt, talk about retirement as well. I coach, educate, and inspire. I don't sell insurance. I don't sell investments. I teach you how to sell, or how to actually buy, and what to buy and why and how, but I don't sell you any of those things. I just educate and empower people so they can be more knowledgeable and empowered to make the good decisions with their money.
Okay, and how long have you been in the personal finance space?
Since about 2010. So I've been grinding this thing out, honestly.
2010. And so I know in that time is now what, 2022. There's been ebb and flows. So when it wasn't what you expected to be, like, how did you keep going? How did you keep going in this space?
So I also do accounting and taxes, which I mentioned to you off the air. So that's my primary breadwinner. But the personal finance goes hand in hand, because if people making money in their business and they bring it home and they can't handle the money, they will be broke. But if they can make money, I help them with their business, accounting and taxes, bring the money home, and they know how to handle it well, they will be wealthy. And I think people become wealthy in 3 ways: with one, having a business; secondly, investments; and third, real estate.
Yeah. Yep, I completely agree. I myself, like that, the real estate investing is a place that is near and dear to my heart. Not there yet, but that's our goal. My husband recently retired, and we are first trying to figure out where we're going to reside next, and then our goal is to get in to do more of that. So I'm looking forward to that. So if you had to leave the audience with the Dakota tip, if you do this one thing, you could begin to see transformation, what would that one thing be?
I think the one thing would be mindset,
Mindset.
because you can't build wealth, you can't start a business, you can't do the things you want to do without first believing.
That's right.
And changing your mindset, having the mindset of I can do this, like the little engine that could. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. If you say I can't do it, then you can't do it.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, Dakota, this has been great. If people want to find you, follow you, stay tuned for your course, where would they do that?
So you can find me on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube for my podcast, the Your Money Hour podcast. It's a monthly podcast. My course will be launching in September, so stay tuned. My website is dakotagrady.com. And if you need help with accounting and taxes as well, I am the accounting and tax doctor. My website is theatdoc.com. That's the accounting and tax doctor. And connect with me. Patrina, I want to also have you on my podcast because we can connect, talk about money, business, and life. So I'm honored to be a guest on your show. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And all the links that Dakota just shared with you regarding where you can find him, drop down in the show notes. They will be there both on the audio podcast as well as on YouTube. Thank you so much for being on. I do accept the invitation to be on your show as well, so we can connect on that. So thanks again for tuning in with It's My Money with Patrina Dixon, or the Money Exchange podcast. And as I said at the beginning, if you are not subscribed, make sure you hit that red subscribe button so you will be notified when each episode is dropped. And if you aren't following, make sure you do that as well. And guess what? If you enjoyed what you heard and want to hear more, make sure you share it with others so that they can get this great information that we are putting out as well. I appreciate you. Stay tuned for the next episode.